Yes, you start.
So we are going to first start with the Achaman. Achaman is purifying yourself. So you should all have a water cup with a spoon in it in front of you. Everybody online?
Yeah, let me repeat. Everyone should have a water cup and a spoon in front of you.
And so what you're going to do is with your left hand,
With your left hand,
take a few drops of water
take a
from
few
your right hand.
take a few drops of water. Wait, stop like if I'm translating for you. Take a few drops of water on your right hand.
Everybody ready?
Okay.
Please repeat after me.
That's her. Yeah, I can hear it. So repeat. Okay.
Om Pavitra Pavitra
Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarva Vashtam Gatopi Va Yaksmare Pundarikaksham Sabya Abhyantaraha Shuchehi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Sip the water from the base of your palm. Take a few drops and clean your hand again. Take a few drops again in your right hand. Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarvavashtam Gatopi Va Yaksmaret Pundarikaksham Sabya Abhyantaraha Shuchihi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Take water from the base of your palm. Take a few drops in your right hand. Om Pavitra Pavitra Va Sarvavastam Gatopi Va Yaksmare Pundarikaksham Sabaya Abhyantaraha Shuchehi Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu Shri Vishnu. Drink the water from the base of your palm. Okay, yeah, that's the initial purification. Okay, so we're going to give the talk right now. Let me just make sure everyone could hear me. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I just want to. Okay, everyone can, and this thing can hear me. So everybody in Gold Coast can hear me? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to give the lecture now, and I guess the first name we give after the lecture will be the Subhangi. So, Om Gana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shilakaya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So it is stated in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahmanda Brahmate Kon Bhagwan Jiva Krishna Prasade by Bhakti Lata Bij, that the living entity, that is us, is wandering all over the universe, and actually perhaps over, perhaps over many universes, trying to exploit the resources of this material nature. And when the living entity comes to the conclusion that, as we say, there ain't no satisfaction, there's no satisfaction in this world, the living entity starts to, atato brahma jigyasa, it starts to look for some escape, at least from this material world, or starts to look for spirituality. And there's different paths of spirituality. Some living entities, being frustrated with the interactions in this material world, with the relationships, with the threefold miseries, of course, adhyatmic, adhibodic, adhidaivik, miseries from the body and the mind, miseries from other living entities, and miseries from the material nature in general. Some of them just get so frustrated, they think, well, spiritual life or liberation is just a negation of material life. So they think, let's make everything nothing. Of course, that's hard. Let's make everything nothing. And they take to an impersonal understanding or a void understanding. And there's many paths that advocate these different types of understandings in this world. Whereas others who are more pious, they understand that behind this world, there is a supreme controller, God. And they also understand or try to understand the purpose of this material world. Now, the study of purposes is called teleology. Teleology means basically the study of purposes of something. So for most people, they look at this world and they think, well, it has no purpose. Whereas those who are pious think God must have a purpose. And not understanding that purpose, the pious people pray to God for direction. You know, who am I? Where have I come from? Who is God? What is the purpose? What is the meaning of this world? And because they are pious, Krishna, God, sends a guide according to what they're able to accept. That is, according to what they're able to accept intellectually, and just according to their country. Everyone is sent a guide according to their own capacity. So that's described that Krishna sends the spiritual master or a guide. Now, we are not being sectarian and stating that we are the only ones with the truth, or the only ones with a guide, or with guides or direction in spiritual life. But the Krishna conscious understanding, the Vedic understanding, is considered to be the postgraduate understanding of God. So for those who have the capacity, the intellectual capacity, the ethical capacity, the moral capacity, then Krishna sends someone from the Vedic tradition. And then that person is given a postgraduate course in spiritual life. And we're members of that tradition, very fortunately. We're not criticizing any other tradition. And we understand that people in different parts of the world who have different capacities, have different abilities, or let's say capacity to understand spiritual life. And so fortunately, and it doesn't reflect on our wonderful abilities here, fortunately, we have gotten the highest truth from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Krishna has directly guided us because of His great mercy and because of Prabhupada's mercy to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. So when we are guided to the lotus feet of a great devotee like Srila Prabhupada, we are given something by Srila Prabhupada and by his representatives, something called the Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of the creeper of devotion. So what is that seed? That is bhakti. And that seed must be watered that seed must be cared for in order for it to fructify, in order for it to, let's say, in order for it to pierce through ultimately, when the seed fructifies, to the spiritual realm and ultimately reach the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So the process of caring for the seed is called the process of sadhana bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means practice of devotion. And that sadhana bhakti is taught by Krishna's representative, the spiritual master, to the disciple. And of course, disciple means someone who is disciplined by the spiritual master. Now that sounds a little frightening, discipline. You know, we hear the word discipline and our mind rebels at the thought of it. But the discipline the spiritual master gives is a very loving discipline, like the parent gives to the child. In other words, not a parent that spanks the child all the time, of course, but the parent who actually encourages the child and gives the child proper direction so the child can grow and ultimately become a functional adult. So the spiritual master, according to this disciple's psychophysical nature, engages the disciple in Krishna consciousness. However, there are some basic rules and regulations the spiritual master teaches the disciple, both positive and negative injunctions, just like we find in the Hatha Yoga system and the Ashtanga Yoga system. There is yam and niyam. For those of you who don't know what yam and niyam, and of course those are the two aspects, or two of the aspects of the Ashtanga Yoga system. Yam means restrictions, and niyam means positive injunctions. So, for example, in the Krishna conscious society, we have several restrictions, actually 4 restrictions, which the disciples who were taking first initiation will recite. No meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. So these are very easy to follow. Of course, in Kali Yuga, they may be difficult for some people to follow, but the reason for these restrictions is twofold. One reason is that if we don't follow those restrictions, we are accruing what's called V-karma. We are accruing bad karma. That's one reason. And bad karma means you get a reaction. And the second reason, and perhaps even the most important reason, is by not following these regulative principles, you are actually putting yourself in the lower modes of nature. As Krishna states in the Gita, Karanam guna sangasha sadasad janma jonishu. By associating with the modes of nature, or the cause of our entanglement in the material world is association with the modes of nature. By association with the modes of nature, we become influenced by those modes of nature. Like Prabhupada would say, if you associate with drunkards, if you go to the bar, other than to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, then you will actually become a drunkard eventually. Or Prabhupada also gave the example that if you want to invest in stocks, of course, this is before the internet, where you could just sit at home and see the ticker tape from the stock exchange on your computer monitor. Prabhupada said you should go and sit in the stock exchange. Now, there's one story, it's very interesting, that my godbrother Shama Sundara told. One time he convinced Prabhupada to invest in some gold. I don't know if you heard this story. And probably, I think it was in Switzerland or something like that. And Prabhupada actually was sitting there, chanting japa, watching the ticker tape or the price of gold. And then after a while, he told Shama Sundara, let's sell it. You know, Prabhupada never did that again. And they made a lot of money. So I'm not suggesting that you should invest in gold or speculate or do anything like that. So it's very helpful to be associating with people with the same psychology, with a Krishna conscious psychology and determination. And it's very harmful to be associating with people who are not interested in spiritual life. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, when he was asked about the quality of a Vaishnava, he said, a satsanga chag, a Vaishnava char. A Vaishnava avoids bad association, and of course then sadhu sanga, sarva sastrakoi, lavamatra, sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hoy. That a Vaishnava goes for good association, because by a little bit of good association, you can get all perfection. Hare Krishna. So anyway, so one of the main reasons for following the four regulative principles is that by not following them, your consciousness will devolve and enter into the lower modes of nature. And from the lower modes of nature, one cannot understand spiritual life. One cannot appreciate Krishna or spiritual life if they're doing something like eating meat, or of course, taking intoxication, illicit sex, or gambling. And in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Nivritta Tarshar Upagiyamanat Bhavoshra Shrotra Mano Viramat Ka Uttama Shloka Gunanavadat Puman Virajeta Vina Pashugnat, which means that by the hearing and chanting of Krishna's glories, specifically, this is one of the nutshell verses of the 10th canto, by hearing and chanting Krishna's glories, then all the material miseries are dissipated. And who will not be attracted to hearing the glories of Krishna, the philosophy of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, the activities of Krishna's devotees, except for those who are pashugnat, which means basically killers of animals or killers of the soul, or killers, I'm just widening the definition right now, or those who are immersed in the lower modes of nature. So it's important for the devotees to cultivate this mode of goodness by good association, by regularly hearing and chanting, of course, by serving the Vaishnavas. We can cultivate the right attitude and elevate our consciousness even beyond the mode of goodness to the transcendental Shuddha Sattva. That means pure goodness. So very, very important. So this is the reason for the four regulative principles: to avoid bad karma, vikarma, and also to keep your consciousness on the highest level. Remember that. So in addition, we chant the Lord's holy names, those who were taking first initiation. This is called Harinam initiation. We chant the Lord's holy names. Those who are taking initiation are vowing to chant 16 rounds minimum a day of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And we attempt to the best of our ability to eliminate, thank you, that was horrible, that sound. I was wondering why Agasura was here. to eliminate, that's a horrible fan. So we try our best to eliminate the offenses that we may be committing while chanting Hare Krishna. And also you can commit the offenses against the holy name while you're not chanting. So sometimes people think, I'm not committing any offenses while I'm chanting my japa. But actually, you can be committing offenses while you're not chanting your japa. And we're going to talk about these 10 offenses that should be avoided, must be avoided, to advance in spiritual life. The first offense, I consider to be the most dangerous of all the offenses. That's the offense of blaspheming. Some dog is chanting. If you have a dog, please put yourself on mute. They're auspicious during an initiation. So the first offense is to blaspheme the devotees or criticize or hurt the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating God consciousness. And that means also that we don't criticize, blaspheme, hurt people of any religious persuasion who are dedicated to God consciousness. Whoops. Instead, we should take the positive. What is the positive? We should serve those who are dedicated to serving God. Mahat Seva Mahur Vimuktes. By serving those who are actually great souls, we can get Krishna consciousness very easily. That's the secret. And of course, we chant every morning Yasha Prasada, Bhagavat Prasada, Yasha Prasada Na, Kati Katopi, by the mercy of the spiritual master and the mercy of other Vaishnavas. Because as we've all learned, that we have one Diksha Guru, but we have many Siksha Gurus. In fact, if one is humble, one will accept almost anybody, maybe not on the spiritual platform, but accept what anyone does as an instruction in Krishna consciousness. Just like in the Bhagavatam, there's the story of the Avaduta Brahmin, who's looking at society and looking at the different aspects of society and even looking at animals like birds and mountains and trees. And he's learning something and accepting these different aspects of the material nature even as Siksha Gurus. So we should be humble enough to learn from others, especially others who are advanced in devotional service. So we have many, many Siksha Gurus. And of course, ultimately, Prabhupada is the predominant Siksha Guru for all of us in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. All of us are working under the direction of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. We're all part of Prabhupada's family. We do not want any separatism, that is consideration of my guru versus your guru. We're all on the same team. Just like if you have football or cricket, for those of you from India, or rugby, for those of you from Fiji, we have to cover all the bases. Or New Zealand, you have your All Blacks. That's not a racial term. Each team, they work together. They're individuals. They all have a part to play to win the game. In the same way, we all have a part to play as a team, a transcendental family. We're all members of the same family. Whoever your guru is, we're all members of Prabhupada's family, and we're all going to be together in the spiritual world, hopefully, except for me. But anyway, the rest of you will be together in the spiritual world. I may be somewhere else. But we'll all be together. So it doesn't really matter who is initiated by who in terms of our cooperation and love for each other. I myself have never really had disciple meetings, nor do I intend to do it, because it creates a mood of division. When I speak to people, I think of everyone equally. Everybody knows that I do that. I don't think of my disciples as best or mine. You know, that sense of I and mine is considered to be ahankara. That means false ego. That these people belong to me. No, nobody belongs to me. Nirmana moha chitta sangha dosha avyatma nitya vinivrita kama dvandvara vimuktar sukaduka sangyar gachantya mudha padamavyam tat. I want to be Krishna conscious. If I was to think that someone belongs to me, or, you know, we have our party spirit, that is very dangerous for my spiritual life and very dangerous for the unity of this movement, because Prabhupada's intention was that we would create a revolution in the misdirected lies of an impious civilization, and to create a revolution. And we're not talking about guns. Where's Arjuna's here? Oh, he's live with the baby, yeah. We're not talking about guns and things like that. We're talking about a spiritual revolution, a revolution in consciousness. And if we want to do that, we need an army of gurus. And that's why I have been fighting very ferociously, uh, if that's a proper word, very enthusiastically, to allow more devotees to become gurus, especially our ladies in the Krishna consciousness movement. We need thousands of gurus, millions of gurus. We need local gurus, not some. Ultimately, we don't need so much gurus are going to bounce from one part of the world to the other on the internet, like I'm doing. So we need people locally who could train up their disciples in Krishna consciousness, and not with an overinflated conception of themselves. Sorry. We need humble people. You know, guru means the spiritual father who trains the disciple. And Prabhupada is the Mahaguru. Sorry. Prabhupada is the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And all of us, yes, we're actually gurus, but at the same time, we are representing Prabhupada. This is not Ritvik philosophy. We are representing Prabhupada. And actually, we have our own disciples, yes, but we're all part of the same family. I wanted to emphasize and re-emphasize that point. So anyway, that was the first offense on Shani. Second offense is to consider the names of the demigods. And some of you from the Western world, this may not apply to because you probably don't even know who the demigods are. But for those of you from India, like Shiva and Brahma and Agni and everybody else, to be equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. Now, Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabda Vricha. Krishna is the supreme controller, is the one controller. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Arasabda Vricha. And everybody else is subordinate to Krishna. And of course, Krishna has his various incarnations, Advaita, Chuta, Nadi, Rananta, Rupa, Madhyam, Purana, Purusham, Navayovanam Cha. However, these are all non-different from Krishna. Advaita, they're one and different simultaneously, but they're actually the same person. Advaita, Chuta, Nadi, Ananta Rupam. So anyway, so the demigods, they're all just servants, not just. It's a pretty good position. I don't want to criticize demigods either, because that's also an offense. The demigods are servants of Krishna. And their names generally are simply names of their positions rather than names of them personally. You understand? Like Brahma is the name of the position of Brahma. And there's many Brahmas in each and every universe. And our Brahma, I don't know what his personal name is. Does anyone know? No, I've never read. But he has his own name too, besides that. So, third offense is to disobey the order of the spiritual master. Of course, one should not follow the spiritual master blindly. For example, Prabhupada told that story about one guru who kept asking his disciples for different things, and the disciple kept giving them to him. And the guru said, you know, wow, how are you able to afford all these things? And the disciple said, everything is yours, Guru Maharaj. And so the guru was very pleased with his disciple. Finally, the guru asked the disciple, how much is in my bank account? And the disciple said, you know, we spent it all on you, Guru Maharaj. and then the guru said, what do you mean? And the disciple said, everything was yours, Guru Maharaj. Anyway, so he didn't properly interact with the guru. When the guru gives an instruction, one should interact with the guru. One should not follow blindly. If there's some problem in executing the instruction, then one should present it to the guru. And then ultimately one accepts the spiritual master's opinion. Just like when Prabhupada told the devotees in Los Angeles to distribute, not distribute, but to print 17 books in 2 months to catch up with Srila Prabhupada's translation, the devotees said, can't do, Prabhupada, it's impossible. And Prabhupada simply replied, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. And so the disciples had to do that. But still, the disciples have the right to say to the guru, you know, this, I can't do it, I have other responsibilities. And Prabhupada interacted with the devotees in this back and forth way many, many times. So it's not blind following. Prabhupada said in the Bhagavad Gita, blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Absurd inquiries are inquiries like, is there snow in the spiritual world? Because someone is attached to skiing. He thinks he's going to go on a ski lift in the spiritual world. So anyway, so that's absurd inquiries. So anyway, one should follow the orders of the spiritual master. That's the positive. So the next is to blaspheme Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. That means in any religion, don't criticize any religious scriptures. Very, very important. Next offense is to consider the glories of the chanting of Hare Krishna to be imagination, concoction, imagination. And the next offense is to give some perverted interpretation of the holy names. This actually bona fide interpretations or understandings of the holy name, just like the acharyas have stated. The word Krish means to attract. Na means ananda. So when you chant Krishna's name, you get bliss and you get attracted to Krishna. Other acharyas have stated Na means to negate the material misery. So there are bona fide ways that the acharyas have analyzed the holy names of Krishna, but one should not speculate about that. So the next offense is to commit sins on the strength of chanting. By chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, even Namabhas chanting, one becomes free of all karma, vikarma. Not if you want, you get to the point of akarma just by Namabhas chanting, even accidentally, meaning something else, jokingly, etc. However, one should not take advantage of that and simply chant the holy names and smoke marijuana in between each round or do some other sinful activity thinking that I will be excused. It doesn't work like that. It's almost the example or comparison Prabhupada gave one time was like someone in the Catholic faith going to the church once a week and confessing, "My dear Father, please forgive me for my sins." And the Father says, "You are forgiven, you are absolved from your sins." And the next week they go back and do the same thing. Of course, in the religion that I was brought up in, you only have to do that once a year. So it's actually much easier, right? There's only one day of atonement. You only get to fast for half a day or something like that. At least in my family, it was only half a day. And you say, "Father, forgive me." And the rest of the year, you're just like a rascal. So this doesn't work. God is not going to be cheated. He knows your heart and he knows you're trying to get away with murder and he won't forgive you with that particular point. So don't use the holy names to justify or to think that you're going to be purified of the results of sinful activities that you may commit. So then the next offense is to consider the holy name as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, like in the Vedic literatures, you have the karma kanja activities, or we have many different rituals that we do also. For example, I'm wearing a dhoti, I think. So, and the ladies are wearing saris, and let's see, what else do we do that are rituals? So many things we do as rituals, and some of them are directly Krishna, some of them are cultural. But they're ritualistic. Like the dhoti is not an essential item for becoming Krishna conscious. People can become Krishna conscious. I just heard Prabhupada say wearing coats and pants. Of course, not an initiation. But when you could become Krishna conscious wearing a swimming suit too, if you want. So these are external things, rituals, and one should not think, of course, Prabhupada generally in this particular offense refers to the karma kanja aspect of the Vedic literatures, but I'm referring to anything like external that is a non-essential, that is a detail rather than a principle. We have in our Krishna consciousness philosophy and practice, we have details and principles. So details are like, what instruments you're going to play when you chant Hare Krishna. Like, for example, we could go out in Harinam and someone can play the guitar. So whether you play the guitar or mridanga or cartels or djembe or what else do we have? What? Xylophone, ukulele. This is just a detail. It's not that you've deviated from Krishna consciousness, you're going to hell because you're playing the guitar. So, but the principles we don't deviate from. And so the main principle is chanting the Lord's holy names, and nothing can be compared to chanting the holy names. Even Ashvamedha sacrifices, which you were not supposed to do in Kali Yuga, or Gomedha sacrifices, cannot be compared. Even if you compare 1,000 Ashvamedha sacrifices to one chanting of Hare Krishna, you're a demon. You're a rascal. I mean, this is the version of the Shastras. I'm not just making this up. So the next offense is to instruct the faithless people about the glories of chanting Hare Krishna, or the intimate aspects of the Krishna conscious philosophy. For example, we don't go out on Sankirtan and start talking about Krishna kissing the gopis. You know, that's an offense, because people will take it in a mundane way, or they will criticize us. I was listening also yesterday to Prabhupada speaking how these sahajas, that means people who take Krishna consciousness very, very cheaply and even turn it into a sex religion, basically. They've ruined our reputation in many parts of India, especially in South India, because people see, at least previous to ISKCON and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's preaching, widespread preaching in India, people in general misunderstood Krishna consciousness. They thought it was just, very low class. In fact, one devotee Prabhupada memory I was listening to last night, they went to one program in South India. They were invited to a program because the guy thought that they were going to bring boys and girls and have an orgy at the program. Horrible, isn't it? So basically, anyway, getting back to the point, one should be very careful what you say to who you say it to. In other words, understand who you're talking to before you start presenting Krishna consciousness. Because if you don't do that, people will commit offenses, people will misunderstand, people will reject what you're saying. So you have to be very, very careful and understand your audience. So the 10th offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of Hare Krishna, to maintain material attachments in spite of hearing so many instructions in the matter. What that means is it's not offensive to be materially attached. Otherwise, all of us would be extremely offensive. I'm so attached to my computer equipment here, which is driving me crazy at this particular point. But Krishna's teaching me a lesson. So, but one has to try his or her best to shed themselves of this material attachment. Now, the shedding is a natural process. Just like I used to live in the woods in a cabin. And every, let's say every week or two, my pet snake, who lived in the cabin with me, would shed his skin. It's not that I peeled his skin off for him. What an example. Don't blame me for this example. Anyway, so because his natural growth, which was not impeded, he was friendly serpent. And actually, the devotees who would clean my house would find in my closet, right, Solzy? The skin of the snake after he shed it. So his natural growth was he was shedding the skin. So naturally, as we progress in Krishna consciousness, we should not impede. We should not try. We should be very careful not to impede that natural growth of shedding our material attachments. Don't be sorry when they go away. Don't lament. Oh my God, I desired to go bungee jumping before, and I have no more desire anymore. What happened to me? Is it because I'm old? Or is it because I'm not eating enough prasadam? We think like that sometimes. Desires, all these desires, they fade away. It's really interesting. By the process of Krishna consciousness, if you execute it properly and have the right association, the desires just like fade away naturally. It is so amazing. Of course, it's not that you wake up one morning and it's like you've taken Novocaine for your anarthas that you don't experience, but gradually they really go away. I could tell you that. That's my experience, except for my computer desires, everything else. Anyway, so and then Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, sort of an 11th offense, but it's the overriding offense. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the offenses are due to inattention while chanting. So if you're attentive, you'll be aware when you're committing the offenses. So be attentive, hear the holy names, hear every syllable, use your tongue and lips to chant the holy name, and pray to Krishna. Study Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayers, especially the Shikshashtaka. And I advise you to study the translation given by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in the last chapter of the Anchalila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, to enter into the mood of the holy names. And according to our level of devotional service, we will find one or two of the verses of the Shikshashtaka that relate to our level of consciousness. Generally, Prabhupada said that we should chant the holy names like a child crying out for his mother. And that, of course, is related to the verse, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patitamam Vishme Bhavam Buddho, Kripya Tava Padapankajas Tita Duli Sadrasamba Chintaya. O son of Nanda Maharaj, I am your eternal servant, but somehow or other, and I'll give a direct translation, I've fallen into this horrible ocean of birth and death. Please save me. Of course, I'm adding some things, and fix me as one of the particles at your lotus feet. So it's begging Krishna. One should cry while they're chanting Hare Krishna. In fact, if tears are not coming to your eyes when you're chanting the holy name, your heart is steel framed. You got problems. I mean, of course, that doesn't mean you give everything up. You just think, I have problems, I have to work at it. It's a challenge. A devotee, when they're presented with their anarthas, which Krishna does on a regular basis, a devotee takes it as a challenge. Prabhupada said we're meant to be Kshatriyas by mentality. Kshatriya means we're fighters, not fighting with each other. That's a neophyte. Means you have a new fight every day, or you fight with everybody. That's why neophyte. Not fighting with each other, but we should take it as a challenge when we discover, hey, this lust is in my heart. Okay, Hare Krishna, let's take care of it with the holy names. Let's hear the Bhagavatam more. Let's hear Srila Prabhupada. We become more and more enthusiastic. I mean, at least that's my response. It just makes me more enthusiastic because it's a challenge. When someone who is training up for the Olympics hears that there's a challenge, someone who ran the 100-meter dash, ran it in whatever, 1/2 of a second. I don't know. Then he takes it as a challenge. No, I can do better. Devotees are into challenges. Devotees are into competition. We were talking about this the other day, about transcendental competition. Transcendental competition means we appreciate the other devotee if we're competing with another devotee. We appreciate them and we glorify them. And we think, I'm going to try to do better at the same time. Material competition is we criticize the other devotee. He's just taking steroids. That's why he chants Hare Krishna so nice. I know I'm mixing athletics with Krishna consciousness. So that's material stuff. You criticize someone else. He's just a better devotee because he was born in India. And people in India are better devotees. But actually, he's not better. He just has a better body. So, this is very bad. We don't criticize. We compete by trying to please Krishna in a brotherly, sisterly way with our god sisters, god brothers, god uncles, god aunts. Everybody's God here. So, this is our mood in Krishna consciousness. It's fun. Actually, being Krishna conscious is fun. And that's how we should see it. We're all part of the same team. The other team is Maya. Maya and the illusory energy. And actually, we should see everybody as part and parcel of Krishna, not see anyone as enemies or not part of our team. That's our preaching mood. So, anyway, so that's first initiation. Well, I spoke longer than I thought I would. So, some of the devotees are taking second initiation. We got quite a few taking second initiation. Second initiation means to concentrate, as everyone should, on the qualities of Brahman. And specifically in the Bhagavad Gita, we find these qualities: samadhamma, tapaksho cham, shanti rajabhameva cha, jnanavigyanamastikhyam, brahma karma swabhavacham. That everyone should try to acquire these qualities, but specifically those who are taking second initiation. Second initiation means that you've been given the opportunity to touch Brahman. What do I mean by touch Brahman? That means the deity. We're touching Brahman through the holy name every day by chanting Hare Krishna. But there's a specific service whereby one dresses the deity, does arti for the deities, and cooks for the deities. And that service is done by those who are Brahmins. That means someone who is on the Brahminical platform, spiritual platform. And to be on the spiritual platform, you have to cultivate the mode of goodness, because the mode of goodness is the natural jumping off point for being spiritual. It's not necessarily true. It's necessary that one be in the mode of goodness, but it's not sufficient simply being in the mode of goodness that one will be on the spiritual platform. Just like it's necessary if you want to take an airplane to go to the airport, but it's necessary to fly to go to the airport, but that's not sufficient to get you on a plane. You can just go to the airport and shop. Of course, nowadays, I don't know if they shop in the airport. They just wear masks. So anyway, so cultivation of the mode of goodness is essential. So I'll go over this verse very quickly. One should cultivate the mood of being equipoised, happiness and distress, pleasure and pain, etc. Samadhamma, control your senses. You know, if you feel the urge to scream at someone, if you have the nature of a truck driver to come out with some expletives, don't do it. Avacho vegam, manasa krota vegam, jiva vegam, udara pashta vegam. Just tolerate these pushings of the senses. That's what it means, dhamma, tame. And then tapa, to accept everything favorable for serving Krishna, reject everything unfavorable. Cleanliness, shocham, internal cleanliness by always remembering Krishna, external cleanliness by cleaning oneself. Prabhupada said 2 or 3 times a day, before you eat, 2 or 3 times a day bathing. Before you eat, you clean your hands. And Prabhupada actually in the beginning said you should clean your feet also, but at least your hands should be clean. I remember in the early days of the movement, the devotees would go to the sink in the prasada room and stick their feet in the sink because they thought they should clean their feet. I mean, that is part of the Vedic tradition, but it may not be practical in each and every circumstance. Tolerance, honesty, religiosity, cultivating knowledge, regularly reading Srila Prabhupada's books and applying that knowledge. That's what it means to be a Brahmin. A Brahmin specifically should be very knowledgeable about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and be able to teach it to others. Of course, everybody has that responsibility of sharing Krishna consciousness and teaching it to others. So I guess that's the lecture for today. And so we will proceed right now with the name giving and the bead giving. And we're going to start. Let's see, we have a long list here. Actually, I just wanted to check to see. All right, we got everybody here, I think. So, Subhangi, are you there? I need to hear you. So before you get your Whoops. Is there some way I can hear you? Oh, wait a second. Let me turn. Got a microphone there? They're running around looking for a way to so I can hear her. So the first thing is the devotee should offer their obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. All of us are taking initiation to serve Srila Prabhupada's mission, to remain in Srila Prabhupada's mission, to remain faithful to Srila Prabhupada. This is our life and soul, basically, serving Srila Prabhupada. Okay. I can barely hear you. I can hear you now. Yeah. So Subhangi, I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to ask you just talk about the just recite the four regulative principles and how many rounds you chant. I know you've been initiated for many years. So you can hear me all right? What's that? Okay. So Subhangi has been serving the Krishna consciousness movement for how many years now? 1991. 81. Since 1974. So, wow. You're almost older than me. All right, I'm not going to ask you your age. That's all right. So, Subhangi, you have your beads there. Of course, I can't give beads through the internet. I haven't perfected the, what does Einstein say that something action at a distance? Spooky action at a distance. Well, yeah, she's being reinitiated because the guru left. What's that? Okay, so you got your beads. Your name now, and I'll give you, I guess tomorrow, I'll be able to give you the Gayatri mantra. Because we're going to go real late with this thing. As far as you're concerned, it's going to go real late. So, Subhangi, your name now, and actually, you're getting the same last name as your daughter, is Suvarna Radhe. So, Suvarna means gold, of course. And Radharani is Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishnubhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Haripriye. Radharani is gold. And Lord Chaitanya is Gauranga, who is it's Krishna in the mood. Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, therefore he's called Gauranga. And so, Suvarna, Radha, so you got two Radhas in the family. And your daughter, her daughter's name is Radhe Radhe. What's that? No, there's not too many Radhas. And she lived in Vrindavan for many, many years. How many years did you live in Vrindavan for? 20 years in Vrindavan. Amazing. All right, so I guess Nandanandan is also watching, but I'll give him his mantra later, so he doesn't need to speak. Okay, thank you very much. Did you do the fire sacrifice already? Yeah, you better start it now because it's really late for you. Oh, it's not that late. Anyway, it's up to you. We're going to give some more names out right now if you want to wait for that before you start. It's up to you what you want to do. What's that? Okay, okay. So everybody's hungry there, so it's nighttime, so we don't want to keep them from eating. So why don't you start, do the fire sacrifice, and wait, actually, you can't see me. Now you see me, hopefully. Hold on a second. There we go. You can see me now. So why don't you start and do the fire sacrifice? You have my blessings, and hopefully I'll get to visit you sometime in the future when this virus is over. Yeah, well, or we'll see you in India. It's very nice. Okay, so I guess I will disconnect your, I can leave it on. I'll just put you on silent. So if you want to watch me while we're doing the other things, it's all right. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Suvarna Radhe Ki Jai. Okay, now, let's take up, oh my God, this is very confusing. So those of you who are, let's say, watching us, and let's do we have anyone from Fiji right now online? Because Sarla was supposed to take initiation.
Yes,
Yes?
Gurudev. My
Yes,
mom is
sir,
there.
Ladu.
Yes.
Okay, so let me do her right now, and we'll send her beads to her later.
Yes.
So so since your mother just speaks Hindi and not English so much, can she speak directly, or do you want to
Yeah.
translate for her?
Yes, she can try and I can help her.
She can try.
Okay, what are the four regulated principles?
No, no illicit sex, no drugs, no meat eating, no gambling.
And how many rounds every day?
16 rounds.
16 rounds minimum. Very nice. And of course, follow Ekadasi too. So she'll get the beads later. And right now, I'm giving her name. Her name now is Shamarani. Shamarani Devi Dasi.
Shamarani.
Shamarani Devi
Jai ho,
Dasi.
Shamarani Devi Dasi.
Shamarani. Thank you. Thank you.
So congratulations, Shamarani. And we'll see you when we get to Fiji.
Thank you,
Okay.
Gurudev.
Thank you.
All right.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So she should continue to participate because this is the fire sacrifice for her. I know it's late there. Right now in Fiji, it's really late. It's like 10:26 in the evening. So I know it's late there, but this is her fire sacrifice, so she should continue to participate.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. Next, we will do. Let's see. We will do Australia. How about that? So in Australia, who do we have? Of course, we did Australia before with Subhangi. In Australia, we have Anshul. Yeah, Anshul. Are you
Hare
there?
Krishna Guru. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Anshul.
Can you hear me okay, Maharaj?
I want to see you. We'll let everybody see you. Hold on a second.
Maharaj,
Haribol.
Haribol, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. You're on a big screen. Everybody is watching you.
Please accept my
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
This is actually nice. It's like a big transcendental international family. So I've known Anshul for many, many years. We've visiting him and his family, and I knew his father quite well. And he's very, very dedicated to the Krishna conscious movement, and he's helping the devotees develop a new temple in the Sydney area. Anyways, working with the different devotees who are actually in Western Sydney area. So what are the four regulated principles?
So Maharaj, there's no eating of meat, fish, or eggs, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling.
Right. And how many rounds you're chanting?
Minimum 16, Maharaj, every day.
16. And it's good on Ekadasi to try to chant more rounds.
Yes.
All right. And just assist the Krishna consciousness movement. What's that? Oh, you got to plug in the camera.
Definitely,
Batteries.
Maharaj.
Yeah, I'm just talking to the devotees here. Assist the Krishna conscious movement, remain faithful to Srila Prabhupada. We have a great mission to take over the whole world and change the face of this impious civilization.
Thank you. Thank you for accepting me as your disciple.
Okay, so your name, and you'll get the beads. I already mailed the beads to you, and I'll send you the tracking number.
Thank you.
That sounds strange. You should, I mean, this is very unusual for me too. And so your name now is Abhaya Chaitanya.
Hare Maharaj. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
So Abhaya means free from fear, and of course Chaitanya is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Abhaya Chaitanya Das, of course, servant. Abhaya Chaitanya. When we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we become free from fear.
That's beautiful.
That's
Thank
very
you. Dandavat.
Thank you. All glories to Prabhupada. Abhaya Chaitanya ki jai. Okay. So let me go over my list. See. Oh, yeah. New Zealand. I think we should take care of New Zealand because they're really late. Okay. So you can put yourself on mute. And so, in New Zealand, we have 3 new initiates. There's Amit Kumar and Manisha Krishna. Are you both online? Yes, you are, but take yourself off of mute. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Let me spotlight your video. There we go. So Amit Kumar, Manisha Krishna, or let's start with Amit first. What are the 4 regulative principles?
No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication.
And how many rounds every day do you chant?
Minimum 16 round.
Minimum 16. Try to chant more on Ekadasi. So I think you have the beads there.
Yes.
You have the beads? All right. You can pick up your beads for the first time because I sent them their beads before. So your name now is Achyuta Nitai. Achyuta Nitai ki jai.
Yay.
It's a wonderful name. Okay. And then Manisha, what are the 4 regulative principles?
No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling.
And how many rounds every day?
Minimum 16 rounds and try to chant more.
On Ekadashi.
On Ekadashi.
Very good. So just stick to your 16 rounds no matter what, and just be dedicated to Srila Prabhupada's mission and try to share Krishna consciousness with others. And so your name now, you have your beads?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And so your name now is Madhuri Prema Devi Dasi. Madhuri Prema Devi Dasi. Now, any of these names you want later on, I can email you the names or text you the names like that. But Madhuri Prema Devi Dasi Jai. Madhuri means basically, Madhu means like honey or sweetness. Prema, you're the servant of Krishna Prema, which is the ultimate sweetness. That's a great name.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. And you should participate with the fire sacrifice. Keep yourself online because this is your fire sacrifice. Next is, put yourself on mute. You can mute your screen. Okay, you are muted. Next is Harak Narayan.
Hare
Online?
Gurudev. Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Let me, good to see you. This whole, let me change this.
Thank you, Gurudev.
Wait, I'm trying to look for you. Hold on a second. Where, oh, there you are. Okay, let me put your spotlight too, so everyone can see you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam, Gurudev.
That's right. Ratnaleka's father. Ratnaleka over there. And Krishna Chandra's over there, you see on the screen. It's Krishna Chandra, her husband, and that's her father. And her mother is already initiated. So we got the whole family initiated. So what are the 4 regulative principles?
Number 1 is no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, fish, egg, etc.
That's good. You're the first one who covered all the bases. All right. And how many rounds chanted every day?
I'm chanting 16 rounds every day, and on Ekadasi day, I'm chanting 25 and more.
Very nice. Very nice. So continue that and assist all the members of your family in spreading Krishna consciousness there in New Zealand.
Thank you. No.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So your name now is Hari Dev Das. Hari Dev Das Ki Jai. Hari Dev is actually a very famous deity, Govardhan. He's a self-manifested deity. Once upon a time, the gopis were looking for Krishna, and Krishna was hiding from them. They kept chanting Hari Dev, Hari Dev, Hari Dev. And this deity of Krishna manifested himself holding up Govardhan Hill with his left hand, with the pinky of his left hand. And that's Hari Dev. That's a beautiful name, actually. And those that were taking second initiation, I will give you your mantras tomorrow. Just participate in the sacrifice, because we have second initiation is Krishna Kanta, Kamalakshi, Venkateshwara, and Sri Devi, who are taking second initiation, and the mantras will be given tomorrow, because I know it's extremely late for you in New Zealand. But please stay up and participate in the fire sacrifice, because right now in New Zealand, it is 10:30 at night, right? 10:30 at night.
Yes.
It's all right. It's once in a lifetime. You can stay up. It won't kill you. So I think we've covered all the no, there's actually devotees in New Taliban who are not foreigners. There's Shama Bihari and Ati Sundari. Are you both online?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Good to see you. Let me spotlight your video.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I can see you. You can hear me?
Yes. Yes, Gurudev.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, you're spotlighted somehow or other. So Ati Sundari is taking second initiation. So we're just seeing her smiling face. And just participate in the fire sacrifice. Just stay online and watch everything, all right? And Shama Bihari, you online? Is Shama Bihari there or no?
He was earlier.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Haribol. I can't see your smiling face.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yes, we can hear you.
You should be able to hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear me. Shama Bihari, come on the screen again.
I'm still here, Maharaj. Can I help?
So the story is oh my God. It's definitely an unusual initiation. So I can see everybody is looking at you. So the
Maharaj.
point is, anyway, so the point is that he and another devotee taking initiation at that point had shaved up and they looked so cute that I couldn't say no. So they melted my hearts. And I gave them initiation at that point.
Haribol.
What? It's not that early. Oh, it's actually earlier there. That's right. Okay. So on that happy note, I think we covered everybody who is not here. Except for the second initiations, we covered Shama Vihari, Ati Sundari, Krishna Kanta, Kamalakshi, Venkateshwara, Sri Devi. Okay, let's do the devotees who are here. I turned it off already. This is turned spotlight me. Okay, here we are again. Is that camera, the battery going out? 40. Oh, yeah, you may have to do that. Okay, I think everybody can hear me now. Yeah. Whew. This is complicated. So now we're going to give first initiation to the devotees here. Actually, I should start. Actually, I should start with Manoj and Shakti, who, by the divine grace of Radhanath Maharaj, are taking initiation today after 25 years in the Hare Krishna movement. It took, so you can come up, both come up. And you offer obeisances to Prabhupada and the deities. This is actually going longer than I thought it would. This is, I guess this is to be expected. So as a special favor to me, Radhanath Maharaj agreed to give them initiation. I shouldn't say this on the internet. Because anyway, Radhanath Maharaj told me I'd get him in trouble because he has other people who are waiting like that. So sorry about that. I interceded. This is a special mercy by, not by me, I don't have mercy, but by Ayush. It's all because of Ayush, because Ayush was taking initiation. It wasn't appropriate to have a son take an initiation before the parents. So we'll start with Manoj. How many rounds are you vowing to chant every day? Okay, try to chant more in Ekadasi. What are the 4 regulated principles?
4 regulated principles is no meat, fish, or egg, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex.
Okay, very nice. And let me ask your wife too, so we can give you both your names at the same time. So Shakti, what are the 4 regular principles? Good. And how many rounds a day? Very nice. So, because of the mercy of Srila Radhanath Maharaj, your names are as follows. Manoj, your name is Manohara Gopal Das. Manohara Gopal Das. Yeah. And Shakti, your name is Sudevi Gopi. Very nice. Congratulations. And they're getting their beads in the mail in a few days. I mean, this is special mercy because generally, anyway. But anyway. So if any of you want to get special mercy from your gurus, just contact me. we have a special price list. Not really. I'm not charging anything. I'm doing this because of compassion. All right. So next, actually, we should do Kalindi. Who everybody knows her name already, but she should formally take the vows in front of the deities. Well, the deities aren't open, but Krishna's there and Prabhupada. This is the proper procedure. What are the 4 regular principles? Okay, and how many rounds every day? 16 rounds minimum. And your name, of course, you know your name already. It's Kalindi, and she's another one who I had to intercede on her behalf. She's initiated by Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and I had to call my friends in Vrindavan to approach Gopal Krishna Maharaj. Actually, it was Param I had to call. So anyway, so we have some, as they say, we have some palanka. I don't know if you know what palanka is. We have influence with people around the world, especially my godbrothers, so I can influence them. And some of them try to influence me. So anyway, yeah, we're all working together. We're a team. That's the proof of it, that we all, you know, if someone makes a request amongst the godbrothers, they gladly do. They're happy to serve each other. Okay, you can sit down now. Your name is Kalindi, as if you didn't know. And do we have one of Hridayananda Maharaj's disciples too? Krishna Sundari, where's she? You can come up. So this is the first fire sacrifice for these devotees who got their name and got their initiation earlier. So we're allowing that, you know, it's very nice. We're able to participate in this fire sacrifice. So Krishna Sundari, what are the 4 regular principles? How many rounds? 16 every day. Very nice. And your name is Krishna Sundari. Haribol. Do we have anyone? Well, of course, Padma already went through the whole thing with me, right? She can do it again. Okay. Padma will do it again after 50 years. 50 years, 2 children, and 1 husband. So, Padma, what are the 4 regulated principles? Padma Gopi. Sorry, Padma Gopi.
No meat eating, no meat, fish or eggs, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex.
And how many rounds?
Minimum 16 every day, and as many as possible.
That's nice. And she's, of course, 3rd generation devotee. And Champaka is her mother, and Champaka is a grandmother, as hard as that is to believe. Yeah, guys, she was in the Champaka's womb, not tummy. But children are born from the stomach. Anyway, and Mother Urmila is a great-grandmother, right? That's pretty good. So many generations. And they're all submissive to me, including Mother Urmila. Anyway, so anyway, you have to have some humor. Oh, Krishna Sundari's 3rd generation. Oh, wow. This is the real success of the Krishna conscious movement. We have multi-generation devotees, you know. It's actually very pleasing. Okay. And then we should get to the devotees who are taking first initiation, who, for me here, I think we covered everybody else. Did we leave anyone out? Except for the, we have second generation, Sundari Radha and Vijaya Radhika. So that's, but the first, we only have 4 first initiated devotees to go. So first is Linda. Offer obeisances to Prabhupada and the deities. She made it. Linda was going through some really intense purification and sickness over the last few days. And, she didn't have the virus, don't worry. But it's intense purification. You offer obeisances. And so, what are the 4 regulated principles you're vowing to follow?
Regulated principles are no meat eating, that includes meat, fish, and eggs, no illicit sex, no gambling.
Last one. No intoxication. Okay, you got it. So how many rounds are you chanting every day? 16 rounds minimum. Try to chant more in Ekadashi if you can. And serve Srila Prabhupada's movement. We're all part of Srila Prabhupada's movement. We're all the same family. So your name, get the beads with your right hand. You can come closer. Beads with your right hand. And so your name now is Leela Bhakti Devi Dasi. Jai, Leela Bhakti Devi Dasi ki Jai. Bhakti, of course. Bhakti means devotion, and Leela means the pastimes of devotion. Leela Bhakti Devi Dasi. This is a nice name. So next is the person everybody's been waiting for, Ayush. I was thinking he should be one of the 4 Kumaras as far as his name, but I decided. Because he may never get old. Actually, spiritually, he's, how old are you spiritually? Did you offer obeisances to me? Or? Yep. So spiritually, he's older than his parents. It's like the story of Mukunda and Raghunandana. The Raghunandana was able to take care of the deities so well that he made the deities get off the altar and eat. And when his father Mukunda saw that, his father said, "You're my father." So because of you, your parents are taking initiation. It's all your mercy. So he's been waiting for a long time, many lifetimes. What are the 4 regulated principles?
There are no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication, and no eating of meat, fish, or eggs.
Very good. And how many rounds every day?
16 rounds. And I'll try my best to do more than that.
Okay. So your name now, you get the beads with your right hand, is Advaita Chandra Das. Advaita Chandra ki Jai. That, of course, is the name of Advaita Charya, who is, I remember, the Panchatattva. And he was the one who called for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come. Let's see. Who is next? Oh, Christopher. So obeisances to Prabhupada, obeisances to myself, and because the deities are not here, you're offering obeisances to the deities simultaneously. Deities are here, actually. Okay. So what are the 4 regulated principles? And how many rounds every day? 16 rounds minimum every day. Okay, and on Ekadashi, you try to chant more and dedicate your life to serving Srila Prabhupada's mission. You get the beads with your right hand. So your name, it's actually a very nice name. Right hand, you can come closer. I don't bite. I don't have the virus. You're right. Your name is Kunji Bihari Das. Okay, and finally, I think we have one more. It says $20. Who here is $20? That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't leave the label on for the price of the bead. That's too much. Just make this a business. How much do they pay for the beads? Anyway, so. Okay. Who's $20? Anyways, oh, Veda. So Veda, you offer obeisances to Prabhupada and then to myself. That's right. Okay. It's nice, all these new devotees. This is very inspiring, isn't it? So, okay. So, what are the 4 regulated principles?
No meat eating, including fish, eggs, and meat. No intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling.
Very nice. And Veda's a student at the University of North Carolina State, which is presently on lockdown. As are most of the places, even New Zealand, they're on lockdown right now too. So, and how many rounds do you chant every day?
16
Minimum. Very good. She's very, very dedicated, and she's brought her cousin here. Where is she? Right there. who in the future will be taking initiation, surrender. And so your name, you get the beads with your right hand. Your name now is actually a very special name, is Braja Leela Devi Dasi. Braja Leela Devi Dasi ki jai. That means, Braja means, of course, Vrindavan. Leela means the pastimes of Krishna. So the pastimes of Krishna that occur in Vrindavan, she's a servant of. She came with a spiritual name, incidentally. Actually, Vedalia. Short for Veda, Vedalia. Anyway, now it's Brajalila Devi Dasi. That's a nice name. Okay. Any more candidates that I left out? Let me see. What's that? I already mentioned. Sundari and Vijay Radhika are getting second here. Okay. Let's proceed with the fire sacrifice. Oh, neck beads. Put the neck beads on. 3 strands of neck beads. Proceed with the fire sacrifice. Oh. Let's see, we got 36 people here watching. Okay. What's that?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the Brahma Samhita recitation, how would you want to do it?
Maybe the Brahma Samhita can be recited during the fire sacrifice. Prabhupada did that sometimes, just to keep things short, because I think we're actually over time right now. So someone should be assigned who is going to, like Prabhupada sometimes had people at 4 corners of the fire sacrifice reading. One person was reading the scriptures, one scripture, another person was reading the scriptures, another person was reciting the Brahma Samhita. But at least one person should recite the Brahma Samhita during. Well, usually it's done during the fire portion. Prabhupada would have that done. So why don't we, to keep things short, when you start doing the Mangala Charna prayers, they should do it very softly. So let's proceed with the other aspects. No, you open the deities. It'll be right in time for the fireside.
Om Tat Sat Sri Govinda 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 Ashyam Shavadho Achyuta Gotraha. Please say your name, everybody. Please say your name. You're new initiated. You're new initiated. Sri Krishna Prithiyartham Upanayana Samskara Karmaham Karishyami. And you can pour the water on the floor through your fingertips. Sanat Kumaro Udu Kamadevan Jaya Shirsa Mapati Deva Hilahat Devarsi Variha Pura Sharat Chakathat Kurma Hari Mam Niraya Naseshat. Om Prajapati Vishnu Rishi Bhati Chandha Sri Vishnu Devata Agni Sapane Vinyoga Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha.
Just want to mention to those of you online, please meditate on throwing the grains when everyone throws the grains. And you have some grains in your hands and you have a banana there on your plate too. So just meditate on that.
Samudva Navasi Avayami Sapayami Prabhu Kripa Swagatam Guru. Somebody can start Kirtan for a short time, please. Namo Krishna Krishna Krishna
Jai Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Gadadhar,
Okay, so now everybody can come closer to the fire. You have the offering in your plate in front of you. We're going to recite some mantras, and you can take a little bit of that offering, the oblation, and you can use the middle two fingers this way and just push it. Take a little bit. Okay, you have two mantras, just take a little bit, and make sure it goes into the fire, and you can just push it. So, or you can take it and throw it like this. So make sure it goes into the fire. Okay? And you
Just
have
one
to
thing
repeat-
before we start, the deities curtains are going to open in a second. So we want to make sure that everybody's swiveled around so they don't have their back to the deities. It's going to be a silent arti.
Okay. So sideways.
Sideways. And anyway, so that way the deities will witness this portion. They're going to, if we can wait 1 minute, the deities will open 1 minute before we start with the mantras and everything. Take darshan for a second. Wonder if the camera can reach there. I think it can. Very nice. Jai Radhagalokananda ki jai. Govinda Madi Purasham Tamaham Vajami. And then you could start, once you start reciting the Ramasmita prayers very softly now. This is generally what's done. Softly, so because he's going to be, has to be softer because he's going to do the other mantras with the devotees. Yeah, why don't you start now?
Okay. So all the initiates, please repeat these mantras after me. And when I say swaha, you're going to take a little bit of the oblations and offer it into the fire. Okay? Om Gyan Timirandasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Swaha 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 Swaha
Sri Chaitanya Manoro Visham
Sabitam Yena Bhutale
Sabitam Yena Bhutale
Param Rupa Kadamayam
Param Rupa Kadamayam
Tadati Swapadantikam Swaha 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 Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Dalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Swaha 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 Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. You have to say the name of your spiritual master respectively. Srimate Itinamine Swaha 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 Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Swaha Swaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Dinamine Sri Varshavanavi Devi Daitaya Krapakaye Krishna Sambandha Vidyana Saide Prabhave Namaha Madhavyojjala Prabhemadhya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktida Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gauravani
Namaste Gauravani
Murtaye Dinatarine
Vimurte Dinatarine
Rupanuga Viruddhapa
Viruddhapa
Siddhanta Dvantaharine
Santa Dvantarine
Swaha 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 Namo Gaura Kishoraya
Namo Gaura Kishoraya
Sakshat
You can try.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for doing this.
He's probably got the camera focused on the phone, so I don't think he can hear you.
You can see it right now.
He might hear it. Yeah, he might hear it.
After that, he can talk.
You can try. Let's see. The thing is, there's so many people right now, so my screen isn't on his screen. It's like this, where he's got like
He'll be able to see it later.
there'll be like a bunch of people all in like this little square.
Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Jagannathaya Te Namaha Swaha 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 सिन्धुवरेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः स्वाहा 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 नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरसुते नमः स्वाहा 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 कृष्ण भक्तरूपा स्वरूपका भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यां नमामि भक्तशक्तिका स्वाहा स्वाहा हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता रामकांता नमोस्तुते स्वाहा 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 वेदांतुरताव पंगोर धर्मते प्रति वत्सर्वस्य पदाम्बुजौ राधा मदन मोहनौ स्वाहा 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 दिव्या गंधराज्ञा कल्पद्रुमादा श्रीमाद्रत्नाकरा सिंहासनासौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रील गोविंद देवो कृष्णादिभिः सेवमानौ स्मरामि स्वाहा 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 श्रीमानसारसाम्ये वांसी मठततस्थितः दर्शन्विनो स्वने गोपे गोपीनाथाश्रियसे नमः स्वाहा 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 तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये स्वाहा स्वाहा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद स्वाहा 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 ओम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे स्वाहा 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 ओम भूस्वाहा इदं सवेदं नमः ओम भुव स्वाहा इदं विचिताय नमः ओम स्वस्वाहा इदं शरणं नमः ओम भूर्भुवः स्वस्वाहा इदं विचिताय नमः So now we are going to do the Vaishnava Bhava. We're going to offer oblations, invite Vaishnavas for blessings. Om Vishwakshanaय Swaha. Om Sanat Sanatana Sanatanaय Sanat Kumarabhye Swaha. Om Kavaye Swaha. Om Bhavaye Swaha. Om Ananteksharaय Swaha. Om Prabhudaya Swaha. Om Avirmutraya Swaha. Om Nuvinaya Swaha. Om Chamashaya Swaha. Om Karavajanaya Swaha. Om Nanadaya Swaha. Om Kapilaya Swaha. Om Yam Bhagavadaya Swaha. Om Krishna Devaya Swaha. Om Shukadevaya Swaha. Om Janakaya Swaha. Om Sadashivaya Swaha. Om Janakaya Swaha. Om Pragadaya Swaha. Om Brahmane Swaha. Om Manirajaya Swaha. Om Swayambhuvaya Swaha. Om Garudaya Swaha. Om Hanude Swaha. Om Ambarishaya Swaha. Om Vasudevaya Swaha. Om Uddhavaya Swaha. Om Yudhishthiraya Swaha. Om Bhimaya Swaha. Om Arjunaya Swaha. Om Nakulaya Swaha. Om Sahadevaya Swaha. Om Viduraya Swaha. Om Vishnuradaya Swaha. Om Vibhishanaya Swaha. Om Sri Krishna Chaitanya Swaha. Om Sri Nityananda Swaha. Om Sri Advaita Swaha. Om Pandit Bhadanatya Swaha. Om Shivasatya Swaha. Sri Mukaya Swaha. Om Sahanaya Swaha. Om Bhattaraghanaya Swaha. Om Sri Jivaya Swaha. Om Gopal Bhattaya Swaha. Om Sahasraghanaya Swaha. Om Krishnadasaya Kave Swaha. Om Narottamaya Swaha. Om Vishwanathaya Swaha. Om Baladeva Jagannathavyam Swaha. Om Satchidananda Bhakti Vinodaya Swaha. Om Bhavaji Shena Gaura Kishoraya Swaha. Om Srimate Saraswati Bhakti Siddhantaya Swaha. Om Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Swami Prabhupadaya Swaha. Om Diksha Gurave Srimate, please say the name of your Guru. Swaha. So now we're going to do the Purna Ahuti. Everybody can please stand up. Take the banana which is in your plate. Take the banana with both hands and you're going to offer the banana into the fire. Repeat after me. You say the mantra 3 times, and at the end of the 3rd repetition, you will offer the banana into the fire. Om Namo Brahmanaya Devaya. Om Brahmanaya Hitaya Ja. Jagadikaya Krishnaya. Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Namo Brahmanaya Devaya. Om Brahmanaya Hitaya Ja.
So that ends the fire sacrifice. And for those who are taking the second initiation from Australia or New Zealand, we'll give you the mantras tomorrow. Okay, we're going to go offline in a second. We'll let you see a little bit of the kirtan. And congratulations to everybody who's taken initiation. Very auspicious. It's a first for ISKCON to have this sort of international initiation for many different countries, many different continents. You get a chance to see the deities. All glories to His mind goes to the Prabhupada.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Rama, Hare